By the way, Disneyland, a vacation for a family of 4 can set you back about $5,000 to $10,000.
Truth.
So, you got to win the lottery or maybe get a huge tax return to afford that.
Yeah, well, funny you should mention that because tax season is upon us, brother.
Gosh, yes.
It is. And on this Money Monday, our friends from Hank's Tax Service, they want to set you up for success.
Yeah, let's talk story with Sam Erwin. He's an enrolled agent and manager at Hank's Tax Service. Hey, bro.
Thank you. I'm doing well.
And he's also Hank's son. So look at the man to talk to over here. Sam, first of all, mahalo for joining us. Last year there were some notable changes when it comes to taxes, and of course we don't do what you do, right? So we just host a television show. So if it's okay with you, we'd love to walk through some of those updates. First of all, are the changes permanent?
Well, they're as permanent as anything can be in today's day and age. Any law that can be written can be rewritten. So these are going to be the rules that we're going to be living with for at least the next 4 or 5 years. So they're as permanent as a tax law can be.
Okay.
Got you. In fact, we are so grateful to have you here because there are a couple of common myths that we think, and it has to do with these changes.
Yeah.
In fact, first of all, is it true that there's no tax on Social Security benefits?
That's actually not true. Social Security can be taxable. It's a common question that I get. Somebody will start to receive Social Security and they'll call me up and say, is my Social Security taxable? And the question I ask back to them is more than all of your income plus half of your Social Security, is that greater than $24,000? Generally, they don't know the answer to that question, so it takes a little bit of time to figure it out. Some of the new things specifically for 2025 through 2028 is a deduction for seniors over the age of 65. In the OBBA, it was billed as no tax on Social Security, but it really doesn't have anything to do with Social Security.
OBBA means?
That's the one big beautiful bill passed in the middle of 2025, yeah.
Okay, well, Sam, we have a lot of friends that are in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
They were super excited to hear that they might not have to pay taxes on tips. So how does that actually work?
Yeah, so the way that no tax on tips works is that on the front end, you will pay all of your income tax, federal and state income tax, as well as your payroll taxes. Those are all going to come out on the front end, and in the available years, 2025 through 2028, you will come to me at the end of the year and reconcile that to take your deduction up to $25,000 of claimed tips. So you got to do the first thing and pay taxes on it, and then you get a deduction at the end of the year. You get it at the end of the year, exactly right.
So you get it in the form of a deduction, not actually in the form of they were cutting you a check.
Not cutting you one check.
Okay.
And you don't see it on your pay stub as you're working throughout the year.
Got you. Okay.
Right? You'll pay tax on it first, and at the end of the year, you get that deduction.
Oh, yeah, that's good to know.
That is very good to know.
Wow.
This is tricky. I know there are many companies that are short-handed, my friend. So a lot of employees are working overtime.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about that tax relief when it comes to overtime pay.
So no tax on overtime really only covers a small portion of that overtime pay. It really only covers the last half of your time and a half. What does that mean? That if you're making $20 an hour base pay, and you're in those overtime hours, you're making $30 an hour.
Right.
Only $10 an hour is not subject to income tax. It is still subject to state tax and subject to payroll taxes. And again, that's going to be something that you don't see on your pay stubs. You're going to pay the full tax up front, and you get a deduction at the end of the year.
Wow, we're learning so much today.
Yeah, Sam, this is kind of tricky, and I'm so grateful that we have an expert in the house.
Big time. And just one real quick last question. So this has to do with federal, not state?
That's right. The federal made all these changes in that big, beautiful bill, and the state of Hawaii, they have to do kind of a reconciliation or a catch-up. And they did a big tax law change recently that was before this new federal tax law. So they're still sticking to what they put on the books in the middle of 2024. So the changes at the federal side will not be reflected on your state tax return, at least not yet.
Got you. Okay, well, if you don't mind, we'd like to invite you to come back over the next couple of weeks since we're in tax season right now.
Absolutely.
And we'd like to clear up more of the myths and bring more insight and enlightenment to all of our taxpayers out
Absolutely.
I really hope to, yes.
Sam Erwin, he's our enrolled agent and manager at Hanks Tax Service. We are so grateful to have your expertise, and we can't wait for you to come back.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon.